Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a question so fundamentally basic we almost never stop to actually think about it. Ready? What's up? No, seriously. How do you actually know which way is up? We're going to explore the literal, physiological biology behind this simple question and discover how your body's answer to what's up secretly controls not just your balance, but your emotional stability too.
We've all been there, right? You get some sudden, overwhelming news, or life just changes way too fast, and bam, you get that visceral, stomach-dropping sensation of the floor literally giving way beneath your feet. But what if I told you that the cause of this feeling might not just be a metaphor, but a fascinating biological glitch?
It turns out that overwhelming emotional freefall you feel in your gut, it's basically identical to how your physical brain misreads rapid forward motion as a backward tilt. See, your nervous system is constantly trying to orient you in space, and sometimes, when life hits the gas pedal, your brain accidentally hits the panic button instead. To understand exactly why this happens, we have to go all the way back to the very beginning.
I'm talking over 500 million years ago, long before animals developed vision, hearing, or even limbs. Biology's absolute first major engineering solution was figuring out how to detect gravity. Before any organism could find food or run from a predator, it absolutely had to know which direction was down. Gravity is the one constant environmental force on Earth, making it biology's oldest, most reliable reference frame.
So, look deep inside your head. Right alongside the semicircular canals, which detect rotation, you've got two tiny, absolutely remarkable structures that continuously calculate your orientation to the Earth. Think of them as your linear sensors. They're constantly asking the universe, hey, which way is gravity pulling me right now?
These little guys are the otolith organs, specifically the utricle and the saccule. Now, otolith literally translates to ear stones. And no, I'm not kidding, that's not a joke. These organs actually use tiny shifting calcium carbonate crystals sitting right on top of microscopic hair cells. Whenever you move or when gravity pulls on you, these heavy little stones shift around, bend the hair cells, and encode your head's exact position into a signal your brain can read.
But here is where the physics gets, well, incredibly tricky. These organs act like a biological accelerometer, measuring one combined force called gravito-inertial acceleration, or GIA for short. The GIA represents a blend of two distinct things: the constant pull of gravity, combined with the inertial forces of your linear movement, like, say, when you take off running or slam on the gas in a car.
And because of the laws of physics, Einstein's equivalence principle to be exact, your inner ear genuinely cannot tell the difference between these two forces. Think about it. If you tilt your head back, gravity pulls those ear stones backward. But if you sit perfectly upright while a car rapidly accelerates forward, inertia pushes those exact same stones backward with the exact same net force.
This creates one of the brain's absolute biggest computational challenges. We call it the tilt translation ambiguity. Basically, the raw sensory signal from your inner ear genuinely cannot tell if you are leaning backwards or just moving forwards. It only senses the force. Your brain has to figure out the rest of the puzzle.
And sometimes, unfortunately, it gets it dangerously wrong. This glitch leads to what's known as the somatographic illusion. It's notoriously experienced by airplane pilots taking off in the pitch black. The intense forward acceleration of the plane pushes those ear stones back. The brain, completely lacking visual cues in the dark, jumps to a conclusion: uh-oh, we must be pitching dangerously backward. Pilots have actually crashed planes by pushing the nose down to correct for a backward tilt that was literally never happening. So the really crucial takeaway here is this: the inner ear's physical signal is real, and it's accurate. The ear stones really did shift. But the meaning of that signal, whether it means I'm tilting or I'm accelerating, that is entirely assembled by the brain. The brain takes the raw data and builds a story around it. And without enough context, well, that story can end up completely upside down.
Now, normally, you don't just walk around falling over, right? That's because your brain resolves this ambiguity through multi-sensory integration. It pulls in rotational context from the semicircular canals, visual cues from your eyes, and bodily pressure from your feet and neck. It basically cross-references all these different instruments to confidently decide, okay, I see the floor, I feel my feet, I'm just moving fast, I am not falling.
Okay, here's where things get really fascinating. Our emotional distress runs on this exact same architecture. When you experience trauma, severe stress, or massive life transitions, you can actually experience a psychological version of the somatographic illusion. Think about it for a second. When your life changes rapidly and pressure mounts, you are experiencing high acceleration.
But because the brain naturally struggles to decipher intense acceleration, your nervous system often misreads that forward pressure as a catastrophic collapse of your footing. You feel like the ground is vanishing, when in reality, you're just moving incredibly fast.
And this brilliantly illustrates why mental health grounding exercises aren't just, positive thinking or metaphorical fluff. Your vestibular balance centers wire directly into your brain's limbic system, your emotional networks. Physical and emotional orientation literally share the exact same circuitry. Disorientation is a physiological response. When you panic, you are experiencing an anatomical loss of up.
So, how do we fix it? Well, rather than fighting that falling feeling or calling your body a liar, you can change the assembled meaning. You do this by consciously adding reliable sensory cues to your nervous system. You have to give your brain the data it needs to separate the tilt from the acceleration. It's exactly like a pilot relying on their dashboard to survive a visual illusion.
Here is how you can build this into a highly actionable life skill. When the world starts spinning, you can physically guide your nervous system. First, find down. Just feel the physical pressure under your feet. Gravity is already holding you. Second, look up and out. Visually name a few fixed objects in the room. By doing this, you just handed your brain the exact visual and pressure cues it needs to resolve that inner ear ambiguity. Finally, trust the instruments. Actively trust external facts, routines, or a trusted person over your internal panic.
You can completely trust this process because gravity was here first. It's biology's oldest reference frame, understood by life long before we even had eyes or language. Because of this, your sense of orientation is a skill, not some fixed personality trait. Even if trauma or stress has scrambled your sense of safety, the reference frame isn't broken. It's a recoverable skill that can always be handed back to you.
Even when you feel completely unmoored, the physical anchor of the earth remains constant. The signal in your gut might be screaming that you're falling, but down is still there, just waiting for you to plug your senses back into it. You just have to add the right cues to let your brain know it.
Look, we're all flying through life, and at times we are inevitably going to hit periods of intense acceleration that our brains will misinterpret as a terrifying fall. So, the next time your life accelerates and the world feels like it's tilting into chaos, which instruments will you trust to remind you which way is truly up? Keep your feet on the ground, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.